So, first of all, thanks for letting me present the Danish Power of Attorney solution. It's a solution that went live on actually on August 26th. So it's a brand new solution, and yeah, I'll tell you all about it. First, the business background, and then some of the technical stuff as well. So if we skip to slide number 2, I'll tell you a little bit about the Danish Digitization Agency and why Denmark decided to develop this solution, how it actually works, and the solution landscape, and also a recent development that is the Danish banks want to look at this solution as well, even though it was started in the public sector. And then I'll tell you a little bit about the further development that we have planned. So let's go quickly forward to, let's skip to slide number 4. So the solution was built by the Danish Agency for Digitization, and that's an agency under the Ministry of Finance. And the agency is charged with the task of digitizing and modernizing the Danish welfare state. Denmark has quite a large public sector, and politicians want to make it more efficient, more lean, and one of the mechanisms is through digitization. So if we skip to slide number 4, there's been an e-government strategy published. For example, part of the strategy is that the Danish state wants to get rid of printed letters. So actually, from 1st of November, Danish companies cannot communicate by paper mail with the Danish state. It's only electronic, and in 1 year or so from now, it will be the Danish citizens that can only communicate by electronic channels. So this is a very comprehensive e-government strategy, and there's a link to it if you want to dig down and see all the different parts. And this Power of Attorney was just a little part of that strategy. So if we go to slide number 7, you can see the main drivers behind this solution. Why did Denmark choose to build it? Well, first of all, there are some legal reasons. We have a Danish law that says that all citizens are entitled to be represented by another party in their cases with the government. That could, for example, be a lawyer. And without such a digital power of attorney solution, this is very difficult to achieve. So there are some legal reasons we actually needed to fulfill Danish law. And the other reason is from a business case perspective that several solutions in the Danish eGov Federation needed this, and instead of building it multiple times, we decided to build it once for all centrally, and then that everybody could share the cost of having that built. So these are the main drivers. So if we skip to slide number 8, it was decided to make an analysis in January last year that I was fortunate enough to do, and the result was a decision to build the system, and it was ordered in May, and it was tested and complete in the first quarter this year, and then it went live in August, as I said. And we are starting to connect eGov solutions to this system one. But 4th quarter this year. So let's move on. To understand the solution, you also need to get an overview of the solution landscape that it fits in. And we have two solutions in Denmark called NemID and NemLogin. So if you go to slide number 10, you can see the Danish NemID solution. So that's really an electronic ID solution that is sponsored partly by the Danish state and the banks, and it comes in various forms, but the most common form is a card with one-time passwords. So it's a simple OTP device for citizens and also for employees in companies. So with that credential, you can use it both to access all Danish internet banks, but also all Danish e-government services. So it's really one credential for everything. And I think that's very strong and unique to Denmark, that we have just one credential that is shared. So people tend to remember their password and remember their card. One of the problems we had prior to the system is that people not so frequently use e-government services, so they tend to forget their password or credential. So with having a shared system with the banks, it's easier for the users to remember. If you skip to slide 11, so the other solution is NemLogin. It's Danish for easy login, and that's actually a SAML-based identity provider. So we have one central identity provider that provides SAML-based login to all these eGov applications, and we have more than 250 now. So you use your NemID to log in with the NemLogin, and then get a SAML assertion issued to these eGov applications. So this is really the solution foundation that we built this Power of Attorney on top of. So if you go to slide 12, it was decided to build a very basic solution. So we started with a limited scope, such that we could gain experience and have a short time to market. And then as we learn about this field, we would add further features to the system. So already a series of further developments have been planned, and I'll come back to that. So the solution has a very narrow scope, so we only deal with power of attorneys that give somebody access to an eGov application. And that means that when somebody issues a digital power of attorney, it always boils down to that a representative get access to another system, to an eGov application. So it really boils down to delegation of access rights. And these power of attorneys, they are in the current form, they can only contain static access rights. So we cannot put in references to dynamic objects in systems such as, for example, a case number. I'll come back to the representation of power of attorneys. Yes, and finally, I want to emphasize that an existing SAML-based infrastructure with, as I said, 200 eGov applications connected, and a goal was to reuse that existing SAML-based infrastructure. So we actually have one way of conveying power of attorneys via SAML assertions to be able to reuse that infrastructure as much as possible.
So one question. So
Yeah.
there is no delegation with this specific case.
Could you please repeat? You're breaking up very badly. I'm sorry.
There is no delegations with specific case number.
No. So I'll come back to how it works in just a second. I think it will be a little bit clearer. So if we go to slide number 14, you can see how the solution works from a very high level perspective. So we in the bottom we have NEM login, and we built an application where a citizen can log in and issue a power of attorney. In the top, we have a representative that logs into that e-government solution, and that e-government solution in the right-hand side of the figure then learns via NEM login that there's an authorization that has been issued, a delegation of access right via the power of attorney, and then the eGov solution can then provide the representative with the delegated access. So in slide 15 you can see the building blocks. So we have been built a web application. I'm going to show you that one in a moment. So that is the application where citizens they log in and manage their power of attorneys. And then we have extended the SAML-based infrastructure to convey power of attorneys. And then we need to now extend the eGov applications one by one to handle the representatives in the user interface, for example. So in slide 16, we have the delegation scenarios. So the solution only delegations from a citizen to others. It can be delegations to another citizen, to a professional, or to a company. Scenarios where a company is delegating access is handled by another solution. So it's not in this system, but in another system. So that's why they are in gray font here. Slide number 17 is the actual user interface. So this is the application that users meet when they want to create a power of attorney, and it supports different workflow. Basically, this is a workflow system. So I have shown the most simple workflow. So issuing a power of attorney has 5 steps here. You see, in the first step, you select who you want to give a power of attorney. So that could be another person. It could be a employee or a company, as I said. So here in this version, you have to enter, for example, the social security number of the representative that you want to give access. After that, in step number 2, you select what to be in the power of attorney. And here you actually select the these are delegatable within the eGov solutions that are connected. I'll come back to that in a moment. Then you select the expiry date. So this is a date where the power of attorney will automatically expire, and if you decide you want to, you can log in and revoke the power of attorney prior to that date. In step 4, the user will approve the power of attorney and sign it with a digital signature. So the system actually records a signed digital signature over the power of attorney from the user and store it in secure hardware. So we have a secure locking appliance where we store that for non-repudiation purposes. And then in step 5, the user will get a receipt, and also the representative will get a receipt. So we have this national email system where you get letters from the government, and the receipt will be put in that secure mailbox. So that is basically the main workflow. As I said, there are other flows. For example, a representative could also start the sequence. For example, if I am a lawyer for somebody else and I know what access I need from them to handle their case, I can also ask for a power of attorney where I specify the access that I wish, and the user then just has to sign that request if they want to approve it. So yeah, this is the basic workflow. So let's go to slide number 18. So now we get a little bit more technical. So as I said, each e-government application needs to be extended individually. So each application must define what we call delegation privileges. So they are actually definitions of access that can be delegated within the specific application. For example, if it was a tax application, it could be the right to submit a tax declaration. It could be the right to see data or see prior submissions. So this is all application specific. So that's for each application to define, and they are represented via your right to the data. They are entered in we have a federation administration portal. So all service providers, they can log into that portal and upload their, for example, SAML metadata, and they could also create these delegation privileges that will then make them visible in this user application I showed before. And of course, each application, they have to be extended to handle representative. For example, they need to customize the UI. For example, asking the representative which user they want to represent, and only allowing them to perform the actions that are covered by the delegations. So this is really the task needed in each eGov application. So if we go to as legal perspectives, we think that with the system we live up to the Danish law that requires that entitles citizens to have representatives. And I said before that we are signing these power of attorneys. So we believe this is a very good technical proof, and that it would be considered as a proof in court. Of course, we have not had any cases in Danish courts yet, but we believe that this is the best we can do. Yeah, there are a number of other legal issues. For example, guardians. If sometimes a guardian is associated with the person, and it could be nice if that guardian could automatically then access solutions on behalf of that person they are guarding. But that is not digitized in Denmark, so that is not supported by this solution. Another very nice feature is that we can take a paper-based power of attorney, and then we have roles in the system for trusted employees to really digitize a paper-based power of attorney. So So actually, via a human interface, we can convert a traditional power of attorney to a digital power of attorney. Of course, that needs some governance and some rules that we are still working on, but technically it's supported in the solution. So let's skip to slide 21. So this is the technical interface. So power of attorneys are exchanged from our SAML-based IDP to all the eGov applications, and we have actually two different interfaces, and the eGov application can choose whatever they like. So one of them is actually that we put an additional attribute in the SAML assertion in the attribute statement, and there we encode these delegations. So of course, this is not a standardized SAML, but all SAML implementation can convey custom attributes. So we are just putting some extra information in one specific attribute, and that attribute will of course not be passed or understood by SAML implementation, but it can be passed on to the eGov application or some middleware that support that application. Just to query as a web service, a SOAP-based web service, so that can be an alternative. So that will respond some XML that is the same that we would put in this SAML attribute. So these are the technical interfaces, and going on. One month ago, it's slide 23. The Danish banks became interested in this solution, or rather, they have been interested for some time. But now that the Danish public sector really went forward and put the solution into production, the Danish banks want to understand if they can use the solution or if they can build their own infrastructure for exchanging power of attorneys, both among banks but also with the public sector. So they have started an analysis that I'm also doing for them. And up to now, we have two main use cases identified. One of them is that the citizen giving a bank access to information held by the government. For example, if I apply for a loan in a bank, the bank would like to retrieve for example, my tax records, or it could be my health information. For example, if I apply for life insurance or something like that, I could give the bank a power of attorney to retrieve that data in order to give me an offer on a loan or insurance or whatever. And the other main use case could be a citizen providing another citizen access to use his internet bank. It could be in a different bank than the representative is using. For example, with elderly people or people with disabilities, they sometimes need help with internet banking. So this could be another solution. It could also be used to, if I am changing from one bank to another, I could sign a power of attorney to my new bank that they are allowed to retrieve my accounts and close my account with the old bank. So various use cases are looked at the moment, and I think this will end in that the Danish banks also will try to build something common infrastructure that can be used to this, because there's apparently a very good business case for the banks in doing that. Okay. Last slide, I think, in slide 25 is the further development. So as I said in the beginning, this is a very very basic solution. So we are already expanding it according to needs by service providers. So we are trying to enrich the power of attorneys with the dynamic access rights, so you can have more fine-grained delegations. We have plans to make power of attorneys to call a web service, and not just giving a power of attorney to a person that can log into a browser, but also that can be used with a web service. We have plans to integration with the Danish civil registration system, such that when people die, they are being registered as dead. Their power of attorneys can be revoked automatically, and other stuff. So yeah, I think I have used all the time now. So any questions at this point before we close?
Do you have any problems with a large volume of delegations or power of attorneys? If one person has received from many people a large number for browser-based redirect?
Well, it's a new system, so we don't have that problem yet. But I think we thought about it, and that's also why we developed the SOAP-based endpoint for retrieving the power of attorney. So that is probably more efficient than putting them in a SAML version that is sent via the user's browser. So if we have systems or solutions that where people have very many power of attorneys, this could be used instead as a more efficient mechanism.
But for the people who are implementing, the sites that are implementing, what advice do you give to them? How do they choose which method to use?
They selected which one they want to use, or they can use both if they want. So when they connect their eGov application via our federation portal, they simply select which mechanism they want to use.
Okay.
Any other questions, or is this very clear?
You also said there was a parallel system for business-to-business power of attorney. Is that's already in production, or is that developed separately?
Yes. No, that's been in production for several years. So that was previously part of the Danish. We have something called the company portal. That's where Danish companies, they interact with the public sectors. So there was actually a user administration system there where a company could give their own employees access right to report things to the public sector, whatever. And within that system, it's also possible to delegate access rights to another company. So that use case has already been solved.
Could you provide a link to the company portal or to documentation about the company portal?
The Danish company portal?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can. Yes. Are you interested? I mean, there's a portal, and then there's a separate. The user administration system is separate. It's not on the portal anymore. But of course, there's a link to it. but I can send that. The solution that I just presented is actually going to be hosted on the Danish citizen portal. So we have citizen portal with all services for citizens, and we have a company portal with all eGov services for Danish companies. So they're similar but separate portals with separate user administration system, but the same SAML-based IDP. That's NemLogin that provides the access format.
Thank you. I would appreciate if you could send a link both to the portal and the user administration.
I will.
Thank you.
Thomas, this is Jake from Revidis. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay, my question is, I understand that you have simplified the power of attorney delegation into a simple problem of creating or provisioning a SAML attribute. Is that correct?
Yes.
So could we say that what would be the biggest problem in this, the biggest difficulty you've seen? Maybe it's the definition of the access rights, because I guess there are pretty different use cases that you need to handle, and you need a well-defined dictionary to associate a URI to a specific specific delegation. Is that right? Or you face any other technical issue?
Well, I don't see any issues, technical issues. I mean, the main challenge right now is that the URIs define static access. So each application has to define, let's say, 2, 3, 4, 5 URIs that represent meaningful functionality within their solution that could be delegated. So this is actually the, kind of a business modeling task that each eGov application has to define. And sometimes these static access rights are not fine-grained enough to really narrow down. But they have to live with that limitation right now until we extend the representation to be more dynamic, more powerful.
Perfect, thank you.
Thomas, what's the user interface for choosing a role? I could imagine that in 5 years you'll have 200 of the e-government applications, all with one or more roles. Will you be able to group them into sets, or how do you?
Yeah, I didn't show that in the user interface, but actually we have 2 layers. So at the bottom layer, we have the access rights in the individual eGov application. And then we are planning to group these into, you can say, super role or packages. So we are going to make some very user-friendly packages with an icon. So, for example, we are planning something called the moving package. So if I move and I need help from somebody else to help me move digitally, this package will contain all the access rights to the 3 or 4 or 5 different systems that support this business process. So actually we can make packages that has access rights to a number of applications that are grouped together because they are about the same thing. It's the same part of the same process maybe. So that's what we have planned now. But of course, if we get to a point with several hundred, we have to maybe invent something better than that. But we try to start small, so we don't solve all the problems right now. Yeah.
Great. Thanks for the presentation.